Wife, 37 female, cheated on me, 37 male, 2 years ago and we worked through it. Now I want to leave and I feel guilty. Date, March 15, 2022. Just over 2 years ago my wife cheated on me with a coworker at her work's Christmas party out of town. She told me immediately the morning after. To say I was devastated would be an understatement. This happened pretty much immediately prior to our country going into lockdown, so we were stuck together. I was in a bit of a daze at the time and just kind of went through the motions. I was angry and miserable, but also wanted to understand why she would do it. Hence it made sense to work through it at the time, seeing as we were seemingly stuck together. To her credit though, she did everything possible to make it right. She quit her job, cut off all contact with the coworker, offered to go to therapy/counseling and even admitted to what she did publicly. I never asked her to do this and her mother and sister are very close to her and were appalled. She became much more loving and considerate and even offered to let me sleep with someone else. I was actually upset with this suggestion, but she was only saying it out of desperation. Fast forward to now, 2 years later, and by all accounts things feel like they're back to normal again. At least for her. She's no longer moping around the house, stepping on eggshells in conversation, breaking down when anything regarding cheating happens. She started crying while we were watching a soap where a wife cheats on her husband. Unfortunately, I feel like this return to normalcy has reopened the wound. I think about that night more these days than I did during the previous 2 years. I don't know why, but I think that society returning to a bit of a pre-2020 state has made me feel like I've gone back in time to that evening. I can't stand to look at her anymore. Not in a she disgusts me way, but in more of a why are you still even here kind of way. I feel guilty for wanting to leave now after all the work she put in, even though logically I know I shouldn't. I feel like I'm the bad guy for wanting to end the marriage after the work she has put in. I know people will be able to easily say she made her bed etc., but I'm still really struggling with the idea of leaving her, for her sake. I don't hate her for it, but I don't think I love her anymore and I know this will destroy her. Part of me wishes I was strong enough to have left when it happened. Anyone been in a similar situation or have any advice? Thanks in advance. Edit, thanks for all the responses. I feel I had already made up my mind about what I needed to do, but having people validate that I wouldn't be wrong for leaving has given me the push I need. I'll be talking to my wife later today. Date, March 23, 2022. Thanks to everyone who commented on my previous post. I was surprised how much people cared about my benign marriage problems, but it helped me a lot. I checked this account out today to see what the responses were since last week and was taken aback by the number of people who wanted an update. The day after I posted, I talked to my wife and laid out my feelings. I mentioned some of the points that people on my previous post had articulated very well that resonated with me. I told her whilst I had forgiven her, I was struggling to forget what happened, and the fact we were seemingly going back to normal had triggered something in me and now I couldn't stop thinking about it. I said that whilst I do appreciate all the work she put in to try and save our marriage, I couldn't continue anymore. I mentioned a point that someone on my previous post said, that whilst we were in lockdown it almost felt easier to just ignore the issue to some degree as I would always know where she was or what she was doing. But recently, for the first time since it happened, she's going into town and visiting friends and my mind is just running at 100 miles per hour while she's out. Who is she with? Why is she slightly late home etc., and I haven't had to confront these feelings before. She cried, I cried, she begged me to stay, I cried again. We spent what felt like hours just sitting together in the living room not speaking at points. She asked the same questions multiple times. Do I still love her? Will we ever see each other again? Is there anything we can try to make this work? I think eventually she was doing it to delay the inevitable. She's now staying at her mom's house and I'm going to file for divorce. I know it's easy to lay all the blame at her feet when you're on the outside looking in, but I feel just as bad today as I did the day I found out what happened. I am heartbroken again and know full well I'm going to question myself if I've made the right choice. You can tell me it is the right choice all you like, there is no way I will ever be sure this was the right choice. There are no winners with this. Everyone is miserable, everything sucks, and I'm here reliving the most painful experience of my life for the benefit of a bunch of internet strangers who probably only want to read about the drama, and have no reason to care about me personally. I don't mean to come across as bitter. I had lots of genuinely supportive comments on my previous post. I'm just really struggling right now. I won't be using this account or responding here again after this post. Thanks to everyone who commented on my previous post. Went through a very similar thing. My ex cheated on me and I stayed for 2.5 years. We even lived together for 2 years. There were points where I feel like I was starting to heal. But deep down the feeling of betrayal never went away and full trust never came back. It's really hard to try so hard for both parties to make it work and then leave, but at the end of the day, months out, I'm a lot happier not having to constantly worry that I could get cheated on again. I trust people until they give me a reason not to trust them. I'm with a guy I completely trust now. And now I know that infidelity is something I can never work through in a relationship. If it ever happens again, I have to leave. I had a similar experience and came to the exact same conclusion. I didn't like the person I was anymore with that much anxiety and paranoia hanging over me. We were together for 4 years, he was my first everything, and I was pretty much over it in 2 weeks because just the weight lifted off of me from not having to worry about it all the time felt so good. Maybe I could get over it if it happened again, maybe after 3 years, or 5, or more. But I don't think anyone, especially someone who cheated on me, could ever be worth putting myself through that again for even a day. Hope you're doing well now. I couldn't stay in a relationship with someone who cheated on me. I've been in that situation before and it absolutely kills my feelings for my partner. I don't want to feel like I need to constantly look over someone's shoulder to feel confident that my partner is serious about our relationship and isn't being unfaithful. Trust is the foundation of every relationship. How are you supposed to build a partnership in life with someone you can't trust? Some people have suggested it can be worked through. Maybe it can be, but I can't imagine wanting to do that or feeling like it would be worth that difficult work to save a relationship at that point. You and your partner should absolutely work together to overcome challenges in your lives, but your partner shouldn't be the source of your life's most difficult challenges. If they are, you're better off starting over with someone else. I feel for this OP. I suspect he feels like he wasted his wife's time by not leaving her, which honestly she may deserve if that was the case, but it wasn't. He moved forward in good faith and tried to repair the relationship. There's nothing wrong with deciding after trying that it couldn't be fixed. I hope OP doesn't hang on to guilt about this. He really did nothing wrong on any level. In fact, he gave her much more grace than most others would. Sometimes there's no happy solution to a problem, just the one that's right. I think when it happened is a big part of why OP was able to move on at first, and then got caught up in the memories later. His wife did do everything right at first, but it seems like she reverted to old behaviors and stopped being so transparent. She was going out with friends and coworkers, was coming home later than expected, etc. It's very likely she was doing those things before and OP wasn't bothered by them because he trusted her. Now, he knows she lost his trust and that when she was going out with friends and coworkers or running a little late, she was cheating on him. He had 2 years of basically knowing where she was at all times, so he never had to work through or confront the broken trust from his wife's affair. Now that he does have to deal with it, he realizes his faith in her is truly broken and he is struggling to deal with his feelings. I suspect that if everything hadn't shut down right as he was finding out about the affair, he would have ended the marriage sooner.